Hello and welcome. This course is just a simple JavaScript course getting you to learn the basics of how JavaScript works in the web browser. So we're going to learn things like what is the DOM, how do we manipulate the DOM, everything like that. So if you haven't checked out the HTML and CSS course or learn anything about the basics, I've got videos on them, so please go check them out. Link should be in the description, and we'll get started. So if you're just getting started with VS Code, there are some handy extensions. Go ahead and get this live server put in. So once we get started, we can just click live server and it will open up our code in the browser and we can auto fresh. Nice and handy feature. If we just type in HTML, we should get some HTML snippets. So we'll just get that in, and this one should just let us, there we are. So just put an exclamation mark tab and it gets us all set up with a very basic boilerplate for HTML, so no need to bother writing everything. If you haven't seen any of these head tags before, these are like meta tags, so what the user doesn't see, and it just sets up a character set of UTF-8, just a standard character set. There is other character sets, but this is the one that's mainly defined in every page. This is the viewport and sets initial scale to 1. So the viewport is what you see on the screen. So if we open up this, again, VS Code, there's the link if you need to get it. And everything you're seeing here is the viewport. So nice and handy for when we do our CSS. It lets us use like view width and view height and nice handy features like that for responsiveness. And then of course we've got the title. We'll just change that to JS course in the DOM. So if you don't know what DOM is, the DOM is the document object model. So in a web browser, everything is what they call a node, and you can grab nodes and manipulate them in any way you want with JavaScript. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So we'll get started, and what we're going to do for this is we're just going to set up a basic nav. So I'm going to try and use more real world examples of what you might do. So we've got a list here. Let's just copy down that 3 times. Then inside this list, we might want an A tag because it's a navigation. We want it to take us somewhere, link us somewhere. So we'll just go about. We might have on a standard website 3 main ones, contacts and services and all that. And of course we need to link them, so our handy href attributes. We're just going to put about services and in this contact. Right, so there's our nice and handy nav. And then, of course, we'll obviously want to do stuff with this, but for now, if we just what's my thing not showing? if you can't find the live server down here, just Control Shift P and it'll bring that up. And there we are, there's our unordered list with all our A tags. So we're going to go ahead and I'll explain some quick CSS as well, because that might be of interest. So just quickly, we'll just set up our header. And so we'll just select the header element. We'll put a min height 70 pixels. We'll make sure the width is 100%. I think that's all we need to do. A little handy trick if you are new to CSS is just a star means everything. So the asterisk is everything. And then we'll just do a box sizing. Border box, that's usually my main one to do. Just set a margin 0 and padding 0. Nice and handy to get set up. Then we'll do our nav, and on this again we're just going to do a width 100%. We'll do a height 100% as well, just so it's all standard height. And we're going to do inline, just inline, I think. See how that turns out. And we'll do a background colour RGBA. We'll just go for a nice black background, I suppose. Bit of alpha on it. Yeah, that should do. Get a list style of none. Li margin, right, 10 pixels on them, and then in our A tag we're just going to do text decoration none, and we'll put a colour of, we'll go with white because the background is black. So just quickly take a peek at what that looks like. Oh, I forgot to link it. Link. Type text / CSS, and href is, there we go. And while we're at it, we'll set up our script. Just link. And source equals just link our scripts in there. Or do it at the bottom. Take that away, and we'll just save that. So yeah, we've got add close that off. Lovely. There we go. Sorry, messed up a little in the starting. I forgot about the inline block. Handy enough, it comes up with what it is. So, there we go. Everything's as it should be. Got the 3 links here and a bar. We're not going to bother styling it too much. Just going to focus mainly on the JavaScript. So, I'm going to come in here and we're just going to do an ID on this one, an ID on this one, and we'll put a class on this one, just to show some differences that we get into. So class contact ID, we'll just go with link 2, link 1, 3. So in our scripts, the way we can get elements in a DOM from JavaScript is, well, the easiest way is simply to define a variable. So we're going to call this link 1, and we're going to set it equal to document. So in a document object, we want to get element by ID. It's a function, so it gets whatever you type in these brackets. So in quotes, we're going to put in our link 1, and there we are. Now, what about the other 2? We got link 2, which is document dot. This time we're going to say query selector. This basically does exactly the same thing as ID. However, you can get it by ID or class or by element, whatever selector you want. But for this, we're going to type in link 2. Now remember, link 2 was an ID, but query selector doesn't know it's searching for an ID. So it could be a class or whatever. But if we want it to search for an ID of link 2, we just put in a pound symbol. And finally, link 3 equals document, and we can get it by class name, where we just type in, like we did up here, link 1, or again we can use the query selector, and this time it's a class, so we put in a dot before it, and link 3. Then the next thing we need to do is to tell JavaScript that we want something to happen when these are clicked on. So we can do a link 1.add event listener, and we're just going to type in click, and then the second parameter of this function is going to be another function. So we're just going to write an ES6 format. And for now, we'll just put a console.log and say link 1 clicked. Just save that, and now we'll go into our browser. We'll press. Oh, okay, it won't allow me to do that on my keyboard. We'll just open up the console. Yeah, sorry, I'm using Edge for my default browser, but we can work out some more bugs and errors if anything goes wrong. And if we click that, we get link 1 clicked, because we assigned a listener to that element. So we've got the element, assigned a listener to it, which was waiting for a click to happen, and then we ran a function when that click is registered, and that's what it done. It console logged that out. And then if we do link to add event listener, click another function, and we do console.log link to clicked, and then what we'll do here is link free add event listener, and then we'll click. And then we're just going to do clickable. And then down here, we're going to go function. Clickable. Or we can do a clickable eat and an arrow function if you want to stay in your ES6. And then we'll do a console log link free clicked. Save that. Then we come over into here. Used before declaration. Now this, for some reason, happens on Edge when you use ES6, and if I change this to a function, and I'll ES5, and I save that, and I come back over here, then it works. So that's what I'm meant by sometimes ES6 doesn't work in things like Edge and IE, but if I ran that in Chrome it would work, which is kind of annoying, but these are the things that you have to learn in web development. So we can grab these elements and call functions on them. But another thing we can do with JavaScript is we can also manipulate the CSS. So if I'll keep them other two as console logs. So what I'll do is I'll do a link 3 dots, and then we'll get style property. Style, and we'll say background color. And notice in CSS you'd say background dash color, but in JavaScript we use the camel case. And we're gonna just go with a nice handy blue. I think blue is a pretty color. We'll save that, we'll come back in, and there we are. We clicked it, and the background of that element went blue. But because we've predefined these ones up here, we can also come in and that one changed blue because we got that element and then we used it in here and we assigned the style background color for that element to blue. We could do link to. Another way we can do it with ES6 coming in again. So this is in ES6 form, so we'll just check if it works and we'll go toggle, and what we're going to put in here is hide. For this to work, we're going to have to come into here and now CSS will just put hide and display none. So it's getting link to and it's saying toggle hide whenever link 3 is clicked, because that's where the function is being linked on the event listener. So if we come in here, services disappeared and reappeared because it's toggling it. You used to have to write like an if statement. So if it'd be something like if link to style display equals block, then you would do link to style display equals none, and then you do an else saying the opposite. So it was a lot more code than these couple of words, which is very, very handy. Some other things we can do are we can create extra content. So again, we're just going to create a function, call it create div, and in here what we're going to do is we're going to say new, and no, don't use new on its own like this in JavaScript, because that is a keyword, so it will do something else. But if we do new div in camel case like that, we might have to assign it first. And we can go documents dot create element, and we're going to put in div. To have to append this div to something, we're going to have to stick it somewhere. So we're going to say link 3 dot, actually we'll just give this an ID of new div. Actually, no. Name it something completely different. Yeah, div will do, won't it? And if we just style that so we can see where it is exactly, so div background red, nice bright red. If we set that, we can over. Oh, wrong one. Div. That's right, it's got no content, so it won't take a it won't show anything essentially. There we go. So we got 200 by 200 red background. Oh, 100%. And then we're going to say document get element by ID and div, and we'll assign this variable div equals, and then we say div dot append child, and we'll say new div, and then we could create another p tag to append to the div and then append them into the div that we've already got, but what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to say new div dot inner HTML equals h1 hello. Sorry, that's why. What we'll do is we'll take we didn't assign it anywhere to listen, so we're just going to say create div. Create. Done. So let's see, we've got our div being created. We're getting the div we want to put this new one in, then we append it to the already hard-coded div, so the new one, it's attached inside of this one, and then we're just setting the inner HTML for the newly created one as hello. So we come over here and we attached it to services. So if I click that, we get hello. If I click contact, it toggles that. And if we keep clicking that, it'll just keep creating new divs. And we can see in here, we got the div open, and it just keeps creating all these new divs with hello inside. Nice and handy if you want to show or hide texts. We could even then do an extra function in here. Now that that element's created, we could say get link to and assign an event listener to it, and let it toggle the background color of the new element now. It's just something you could do if you wanted. So quickly refresh that. Some other things we can do, we could do animations, but you can also do that with CSS alone. So if you check out CSS keyframes, but for animation you can write your own, or there are JavaScript libraries that are made by third parties that you can check out. They're usually documented quite well, so you can use something like GSAP. Yeah, here we are. So nice and handy library. So come to jumping around. If you come into the docs, it tells you like how to get started and everything. For like Twinmax, it's just one of the libraries inside of it. So this is the sort of code you'd write to work with their library. So you'd grab the element like we have, just using JavaScript. Then you'd use this would be their library function, or their library object with a function, and then you're just passing a load of parameters. You can read that documentation more to do that, and that library will do animations and things of that nature. But that's simply all you have to do to manipulate the DOM is grab the element, add an event listener to it, or if you wanted, you could come in here and do on click, and then you type in the function name. So create div, and when you use it in here, you got to put the parentheses on. Or we can do as we have done and just add an event listener. Click. You've got others. You can use our mouse over, mouse enter, mouse leave. There's a whole array of them that you can find access to online if you just go for a reference sheet. And then you can also define a function elsewhere. So if you were only ever going to use, we're only using this console log in this one, so we can just put a quick ES6 function in and it will just be assigned to that. But if we're going to use clickable on there as well, we've just defined the function once instead of having to do it twice, like if we write it like this. So it's kind of handy to sometimes write your functions separate from the add event listener, and you just make a call to it in the add event listener function. And I think that will about sum up all the basics of getting started for JavaScript in the web. My next course is probably going to be getting some more advanced JavaScript. So we'll look at array functions, map, sort, filter, things like that. Also going to do some JavaScript debugging in later videos. I do have a Udemy course that should be up soon, if not already by the time you're watching, and that will be a more in-depth deep dive into JavaScript. So it will cover things like creating your own library functions, for instance. That's one of the projects we're going to do. It's a nice simple one. We're just going to do a recreation of a small version of jQuery. So I hope to see you there. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, remember to leave that like, and as usual, subscribe and hit the notification bell to hear more. Thanks for watching and have a lovely day.